In 1977, a Chicago apartment burned with secrets no one could explain. A woman's body lay beneath a smoldering mattress, a butcher knife buried in her chest. The flames were meant to erase her story, but they didn't. Her name was Teresita Basa, a quiet Filipina immigrant who lived for music and healing. She was 47, alone, and no one expected her to die that night. But what happened next wasn't just a murder. It was a revelation that cracked open the veil between life and death. Imagine a voice from beyond, whispering the name of a killer, guiding the living to justice. This isn't a ghost story. This is real. And once you hear it, you'll never see the world the same way again. Picture a cold February evening, the Chicago skyline glittering through the frost. Teresita, a respiratory therapist, finishes her shift at Edgewater Hospital. She's unassuming, her life a quiet rhythm of work, piano lessons, and study for her music doctorate. Her apartment on North Pine Grove Avenue is her sanctuary, filled with sheet music and dreams of a future she'll never see. Around 7:30 p.m., she's on the phone with her friend Ruth Loeb, her voice warm, her Spanish accent thick. She mentions a male visitor coming soon, but doesn't say who. The call ends. An hour later, smoke curls through the hallway, and neighbors dial for help. Firefighters burst in, dousing flames, only to uncover a horror. Teresita, naked, lifeless, a knife plunged deep, her body hidden under a burning mattress. The fire was no accident. It was a cover-up, a desperate attempt to erase a crime. But who? And why? The police scramble, but the scene is a nightmare. The fire destroyed most evidence. No fingerprints, no clear motive. Teresita had no enemies, no scandals. She was a woman of routine, her life as orderly as the notes she played on her piano. Yet, a single clue survives the blaze, a handwritten note in her diary, cryptic and chilling. Get theater tickets for A.S. Who is A.S.? A lover, a friend, a killer. Detectives chase leads, but every path dead ends. Her boyfriend, questioned after an alleged argument, is cleared. The initials haunt them, a puzzle piece that doesn't fit. Months pass and the case grows cold, the city's pulse moving on, leaving Teresita's murder unsolved. But someone, refuses to let it rest. Imagine the weight of a secret so heavy it defies death itself. Teresita's story doesn't end with her body under that mattress. 5 months later, a phone call shatters the silence. Dr. Remy Chua, a surgeon, contacts Detective Joseph Stakula. His voice trembles as he speaks of his wife, Remy Chua, a coworker of Teresita's at Edgewater Hospital. Remy, he says, has been different. She's been slipping into trances, speaking in Tagalog, a language she knows but rarely uses, with a voice that isn't hers. That voice, Jose claims, is Teresita's. It begs for help, naming her killer, Allan Showery, a hospital orderly. The words are precise, chilling. He stabbed me. He stole my jewelry. He set the fire. The police are skeptical. A ghost solving a murder? It's absurd. But they're desperate. And the name, Allan Showery, matches the initials A.S. This is where the story turns, where the impossible becomes undeniable. You're about to descend into a case that challenges everything you believe. Was Teresita's spirit reaching through the veil, demanding justice? Or was something else at play? Hidden knowledge, suppressed truths, or a coworker's secret agenda? As we unravel this, you'll see how a single voice can rewrite history. Stay with me, because what comes next will pull you deeper into the shadows of a truth no one was meant to hear. And when you're ready, comment below. I seek the hidden truth. Let's unlock this mystery together. Chicago, 1977, feels like a city holding its breath. The wind off Lake Michigan carries a chill that seeps into bones, but nothing is colder than the mystery surrounding Teresita Basa's death. Her apartment, once a haven of music and solitude, is now a crime scene sealed by ash and unanswered questions. The police are grasping at shadows, their leads crumbling like the charred remains of her mattress. But 300 miles away, in Evanston, a tremor of the impossible begins to stir. A woman named Remy Chua, a respiratory therapist like Teresita, starts to unravel, a descent that will drag you into a labyrinth of forbidden truths. This isn't just about a murder anymore. It's about a force that refuses to be silenced. Remy Chua is no stranger to Edgewater Hospital, where she and Teresita worked side by side. She's a Filipina immigrant, too, her life a mirror of Teresita's in its quiet discipline. But in the months after the murder, Remy changes. Her husband, Dr. Jose Chua, notices it first. She's distant, her eyes unfocused, as if listening to a voice only she can hear. One night, she collapses into a trance, her body rigid, her voice shifting into a cadence that isn't hers. In Tagalog, she speaks of a knife, of fire, of betrayal. "Allan Showery," the voice says, sharp and certain. "He came to my apartment. He stole my jewelry. He killed me." Jose, a man of science, is shaken. He knows Allan, a hospital orderly, a man with a charming smile and a reputation for small-time hustles. Could he be a murderer? The Chuas are reluctant to believe it themselves. Possession? A spirit's cry? It's the stuff of folklore, not fact. Yet the trances continue, each one more vivid. Remy describes details only Teresita could know: the layout of the apartment, the jewelry taken, the way the knife felt as it pierced her flesh. Jose, torn between logic and dread, contacts the police. Detective Joseph Staccola listens, his skepticism warring with desperation. The case has been frozen for months, the initials AS their only clue. Allan Showery fits the puzzle, but a voice from beyond? It's a leap no cop wants to take. Still, they dig into Showery's life, and the cracks begin to show. Allan Showery is a man who blends into the background, a 32-year-old orderly with a knack for slipping through life unnoticed. He's worked at Edgewater Hospital for years, moving stretchers, cleaning rooms, his presence as unremarkable as the hum of fluorescent lights. But there's a darkness beneath the surface. Coworkers whisper of his temper, his debts, his habit of borrowing money he never repays. The police learn he knew Teresita not as a friend, but as someone who trusted him enough to let him into her home. The note in her diary, "Get theater tickets for AS," takes on a sinister edge. Was it a favor for a colleague or a lure that sealed her fate? You're standing at the edge of something dangerous now, a truth that feels like it was meant to stay buried. The police are circling Showery, but the real question isn't just who killed Teresita, it's how Remy Chua knew. Was it intuition, a co-worker's buried guilt, or something far older, far darker? The Philippines, where both women were born, is a land steeped in stories of spirits and justice beyond the grave. Did Teresita's soul demand to be heard, or was Remy's mind unlocking a truth too terrifying to face? As we move deeper, you'll see how this case rewrites the rules of reality. Comment below. I seek the hidden truth. Let's descend further into the shadows, where the answers wait to change you forever. The Chicago wind howls through the spring of 1977, but it carries no answers for Teresita Basa's murder. Her case sits frozen, a file gathering dust on Detective Joseph Staccola's desk. The initials AS burn in his mind, a taunt from a killer who slipped through the cracks. But now, Remy Chua's trances have ignited a spark in the darkness. A name, Allan Showery, spoken by a voice that shouldn't exist. The police are skeptical, their training rooted in evidence, not ghosts. Yet, the weight of Remy's words, heavy with details no outsider could know, forces them to act. You're about to step into a shadow where logic frays and the impossible demands to be seen. Detectives Staccola and Lee Garcia track down Allan Showery, their instincts sharpened by months of dead ends. He's still at Edgewater Hospital, pushing carts, flashing that easy smile that hides something jagged. They pull him in for questioning, watching his every move. Showery's calm at first, denying any connection to Teresita beyond casual workplace chatter. But the detectives press, mentioning the diary note, the jewelry, the fire. His composure cracks, just a flicker, sweat beads on his forehead. His answers grow vague. They don't have enough for an arrest, but they have a lead. And then, a breakthrough. Showery's girlfriend, Yanka Kalmik, holds a piece of the puzzle. The police visit Yanka's apartment, their questions careful but pointed. She's nervous, her hands fidgeting as she admits Showery gave her jewelry months ago. Pearl earrings and a jade pendant, gifts she thought were tokens of affection. The detectives freeze. Remy's trances described Teresita's stolen jewelry in eerie detail. A pearl earring set, a jade necklace, items missing from the crime scene. They confiscate the pieces and compare them to Teresita's family records. The match is undeniable. These are Teresita's belongings, her treasures, now dangling from the neck of a woman who didn't know their cost. Showery's web is unraveling, but how did Remy know? Back at the Chua household, Remy's trances grow more intense. She speaks in Teresita's voice, her words a mix of anguish and command. He came for money. He tricked me. The knife was quick, but the fire was his shame. Jose Chua, torn between fear and duty, transcribes every word, his medical precision clashing with the surreal. The police are baffled. Remy wasn't close to Teresita. They shared shifts, not secrets. Yet, her visions are precise. Showery's height, his mannerisms, the way he stood in Teresita's doorway that night. In Filipino culture, stories of spirits seeking justice are common, but in Chicago's concrete jungle, this feels like a violation of reality itself. You're deeper now, caught in a current, pulling you toward truths that sting like ice. Was Remy's mind tapping into something ancient, a force that binds the living to the dead? Or was she hiding knowledge, perhaps a witness too afraid to speak until her subconscious broke free? The police don't care about ghosts, they care about evidence. Showery's arrest is imminent, but the real mystery is the voice that named him. It's as if Teresita herself is guiding the hunt, her will bending the world to expose her killer. The deeper we go, the more you'll see. This isn't just a murder solved, it's a revelation of power hidden in plain sight. Comment below. I seek the hidden truth. Let's plunge further into the abyss, where the next truth waits to grip you. The air in Chicago's police station is thick with tension, the kind that hums like a wire pulled taut. It's summer 1977, and Allan Showery sits across from Detectives Stachula and Garcia, his charm wilting under their glare. The jewelry found with his girlfriend, Yanka, pearl earrings, a jade pendant, matches Teresita Basa's stolen treasures, a silent accusation no alibi can shake. Showery's story frays. He claims he bought the pieces, but his finances don't add up. He's a hospital orderly scraping by with a trail of debts and petty scams. The detectives lean in, their questions sharp as the knife that ended Teresita's life. You're standing on the edge of a truth that feels alive, pulsing with a will of its own. Showery's arrest comes swiftly. The evidence, jewelry, the diary note, Remy's uncanny revelations, paints a damning picture. He confesses, his voice low, broken. He went to Teresita's apartment that February night, asking for money, a loan he never intended to repay. She trusted him, let him in, her kindness a fatal misstep. The argument turned violent. He grabbed a kitchen knife, stabbed her once, clean through the chest. Panic set in. He stripped her to confuse the scene, piled her mattress atop her body, and lit it ablaze, hoping the fire would swallow his sin. But fire doesn't erase truth. It only sharpens its edges. The confession is a victory, but it's the voice behind it that haunts. Remy Chua's trances, her words in Teresita's cadence, led the police to this moment. How? The detectives wrestle with the impossible. Remy wasn't at the crime scene, had no access to Teresita's private life. Yet, her visions describe the apartment's layout, the stolen jewelry's exact design, even Showery's nervous tick as he stood in the doorway. In the Philippines, where both women were born, tales of Anita, spirits seeking justice, are whispered in villages. But here, in Chicago's harsh light, the idea feels like a blade against reason. Was Remy a conduit, or did her mind unearth a truth too dangerous to speak aloud? The case begins to ripple beyond the precinct. Newspapers catch wind, headlines screaming of a ghost solving a murder. The public is gripped, divided. Some call it divine justice, others a psychological trick. Skeptics argue Remy overheard hospital gossip, her subconscious weaving it into visions. But coworkers swear she and Teresita rarely spoke. Their lives intersected only in passing. The Chuas, devout Catholics, struggle with the implications. Jose, a surgeon, clings to logic, yet transcribes Remy's trances with clinical dread. Remy herself is unraveling, her trances leaving her drained, as if something is borrowing her body to speak. You're falling deeper now, into a truth that burns like a secret you weren't meant to know. Showery's confession closes the case, but it opens a door to something older, something that hums in the shadows of every unsolved crime. Was Teresita's will so fierce it reached beyond death, bending Remy to her purpose? Or was this a hidden agenda, a coworker's buried knowledge surfacing in a way that defies explanation? The answers lie in the cracks of history, where forbidden truths wait to be claimed. Comment below, I seek the hidden truth. Let's descend further into a darkness that will change how you see the world. Chicago's streets hum with whispers of the impossible as Allan Showery's confession spreads like wildfire. It's late 1977, and Teresita Basa's murder case, once a cold file buried in despair, now pulses with a strange, unsettling energy. The killer is behind bars, his motive laid bare. Greed, betrayal, a moment of rage sealed with a butcher knife and a blaze meant to erase it all. But the real mystery isn't the crime, it's the voice that cracked it open. Remy Chua, a woman who barely knew Teresita, named the killer in trances that defy logic, her words laced with details no one could invent. You're standing in the shadow of a truth that feels forbidden, like a secret the world wasn't ready to hear. The police close the case, but the questions multiply. Remy's trances didn't just point to Showery, they painted a vivid scene, the glint of the knife, the weight of the mattress, the panic in his eyes as he struck the match. Detectives Stahula and Garcia, hardened by years of gritty cases, can't shake the unease. They've seen confessions, alibis, lies, but never this. Remy's visions are too precise, too intimate. She described Teresita's jade pendant, down to its carved edges, jewelry she'd never seen. In the Filipino community, whispers of Anita grow louder, spirits of the wronged seeking justice through the living. But Chicago's courts don't run on ghosts, and the detectives need answers that fit their world. Remy and Jose Chua are caught in their own storm. She's a reluctant messenger, her trances leaving her hollow, as if something has borrowed her soul and left her to carry the weight. Jose, ever the scientist, searches for rational explanations, stress, repressed memories, even hospital gossip. But Remy's knowledge defies reason. She wasn't close to Teresita, never visited her apartment, had no reason to know the details she spoke. Friends and family describe Remy as reserved, not prone to flights of fancy. Yet, night after night, Teresita's voice spills from her lips, demanding justice, naming Showery, refusing to fade. The Chuas begin to wonder, is this a gift, a curse, or something older, rooted in a power they can't name? The public's fascination grows darker. Newspapers sensationalize the story, ghost solves murder. But behind the headlines, a deeper current stirs. People start asking, what else lies hidden? If a spirit can guide the living to a killer, what other truths are buried, waiting to be heard? The Filipino community in Chicago, tight-knit and steeped in tradition, sees Teresita's case as more than a headline. It's a reminder of stories from their homeland, where the dead are never truly gone, where justice can reach through the veil. For some, it's proof of a force beyond science. For others, a challenge to everything they believe. You're halfway down this rabbit hole, and there's no turning back. The truth about Teresita Basa's murder isn't just about a knife or a fire. It's about a power that bends reality, a voice that refused to be silenced. You're starting to see it, aren't you? The world is laced with hidden forces, truths suppressed by those who fear their weight. Comment below, right now. I seek the hidden truth. Say it twice. Let it sink in, because this is where you choose to go deeper. The next revelation is waiting, and it's going to pull you into a darkness that changes everything. The Chicago skyline glitters like a blade in the night, but beneath its glow, a deeper shadow pulses. Allan Showery's confession has locked him in a cell, but the truth of Teresita Basa's murder cuts deeper than any court can reach. It's 1977, and the city is buzzing with the impossible. A woman's voice, speaking through another, naming her killer from beyond the grave. Remy Chua's trances have upended everything: logic, justice, reality itself. The police have their man, but the how and why of Remy's visions gnaw at them like a wound that won't close. You're descending further now into a truth that feels like it was never meant to be uncovered, a power that hums in the cracks of the world. Remy Chua is no longer just a coworker. She's a reluctant oracle, her life fractured by the weight of Teresita's voice. The trances come without warning, often at night, when the world is quiet and the veil feels thin. She speaks in Tagalog, her voice shifting to match Teresita's cadence, her words heavy with grief and command. "He took my life, my music, my future," she says, describing the apartment, the knife's cold edge, the fire's hungry roar. Jose, her husband, transcribes every word, his hands trembling as he tries to anchor himself in reason. But reason falters when Remy recounts details she couldn't know: the exact placement of Teresita's piano, the scent of smoke lingering in the hall. The Filipino community in Chicago watches with a mix of awe and fear. Their culture is rich with stories of spirits, souls who linger to right wrongs, to demand justice. Teresita's case feels like one of those tales ripped from folklore and planted in the modern world. Elders whisper of Anita, spirits who possess the living to speak their truth, but even they are unnerved by the precision of Remy's visions. She names Allan Showery's clothes that night: a dark jacket, worn shoes, details later confirmed by his own confession. Skeptics at Edgewater Hospital, where both women worked, search for a mundane explanation. Was Remy a secret witness? Did she overhear Showery's boasts? But no one recalls her being close to Teresita, and hospital records show their shifts. The police, meanwhile, grapple with a case that defies their playbook. Detectives Stacula and Garcia build their case on hard evidence: the stolen jewelry, the diary note, Showery's crumbling alibi. But Remy's role is a shadow they can't shake. They question her, gently at first, then with more urgency. She's fragile, her eyes hollow from sleepless nights. She insists she doesn't understand the trances, that they come unbidden, like a storm she can't control. The detectives probe for cracksa repressed memories, guilt, even frauda, but Remyao TM's story holds. She gains nothing from this, only scrutiny and fear. Yet her words led them to Yanka's apartment, to the jewelry, to the truth. You're in the heart of it now, where the lines between life and death blur, where a single voice can rewrite the rules of existence. Teresita, Arao TM's murder isna, TMT just a crime solved Itawao TM's, a glimpse into a power that hums beneath the surface, a force that demands justice when the world turns away. Was Remy a vessel for something ancient, or did her mind unlock a truth too dangerous to speak? The deeper you go, the more you feel it. This knowledge changes you, sharpens you, pulls you toward a truth you can't unlearn. Comment below, twice. I seek the hidden truth. Let it bind you to this journey. The next step is darker, and it's waiting to claim you. The Chicago skyline glitters like a blade in the night, but beneath its glow, a deeper shadow pulses. Allan Showery's confession has locked him in a cell, but the truth of Teresita Basa's murder cuts deeper than any court can reach. It's 1977, and the city is buzzing with the impossible. A woman's voice, speaking through another, naming her killer from beyond the grave. Remy Chua's trances have upended everything: logic, justice, reality itself. The police have their man, but the how and why of Remy's visions gnaw at them like a wound that won't close. You're descending further now, into a truth that feels like it was never meant to be uncovered, a power that hums in the cracks of the world. Remy Chua is no longer just a coworker. She's a reluctant oracle, her life fractured by the weight of Teresita's voice. The trances come without warning, often at night, when the world is quiet and the veil feels thin. She speaks in Tagalog, her voice shifting to match Teresita's cadence, her words heavy with grief and command. "Awo, he took my life, my music, my future," war she says, describing the apartment, the knife TM's cold edge, the fire TM's hungry roar. Jose, her husband, transcribes every word, his hands trembling as he tries to anchor himself in reason. But reason falters when Remy recounts details she couldn't know. The exact placement of Teresita's piano, the scent of smoke lingering in the hall. The Filipino community in Chicago watches with a mix of awe and fear. Their culture is rich with stories of spirits, souls who linger to right wrongs, to demand justice. Teresita's case feels like one of those tales ripped from folklore and planted in the modern world. Elders whisper of Anita, spirits who possess the living to speak their truth, but even they are unnerved by the precision of Remy's visions. She names Allan Showery's clothes that night, a dark jacket, worn shoes, details later confirmed by his own confession. Skeptics at Edgewater Hospital, where both women worked, search for a mundane explanation. Was Remy a secret witness? Did she overhear Showery's boasts? But no one recalls her being close to Teresita, and hospital records show their shifts rarely overlap. The Chicago night presses against the windows of the Chua household, heavy with secrets that refuse to stay buried. It's late 1977, and Allan Showery's confession has sealed his fate. A guilty plea to murder, robbery, and arson, a life sentence looming. But the courtroom's closure feels hollow, a thin bandage over a wound that pulses with the uncanny. Remy Chua, the woman who named him, is no closer to peace. Her trances, once a beacon to justice, now feel like a chain, binding her to a voice that won't let go. Teresita Basa, TM's murder is solved, but the truth behind Remy TM's visions is a shadow that grows longer, darker, pulling you deeper into a mystery that defies the world you know. Remy's life is unraveling. The trances come unpredictably, stealing her breath, her agency. She speaks in Teresita's voice, recounting not just the murder but fragments of a life cut short. Melodies Teresita played on her piano, dreams of a doctorate, the warmth of her apartment before it became a pyre. Jose, her husband, watches helplessly as Remy fades, her energy sapped by these invasions. He's a doctor, trained to dissect problems with precision, but this defies his tools. He begins to research Filipino folklore, diving into tales of spirits who cling to the living, demanding to be heard. The stories are eerily familiar. A wronged soul, a chosen vessel, a truth that burns through the veil. But in Chicago, this feels like a violation of reality itself. The police, too, are haunted, not by ghosts, but by questions they can't answer. Detectives Stashula and Garcia pore over the case file, searching for a crack in the supernatural narrative. Could Remy have known Showery's guilt through mundane means? Gossip at Edgewater Hospital, perhaps, or an overheard confession? But co-workers insist Remy was distant from Teresita, their interactions limited to professional nods. The jewelry, the diary note, the fire's details, Remy's knowledge is too precise, too intimate. The detectives consider psychological angles, dissociation, trauma, even a subconscious desire for attention. Yet Remy shrinks from the spotlight. Her trance is a burden, not a performance. The truth feels like it's slipping through their fingers, a shadow they can't pin down. The public's obsession grows, fed by headlines that scream of ghosts and justice. Chicago's Filipino community, steeped in spiritual traditions, sees Teresita's case as a bridge between worlds. Some visit Remy, seeking her as a medium, believing she's touched by something divine. Others warn her to stop, fearing the cost of meddling with forces beyond control. The Catholic Church, a pillar for many Filipinos, offers no clear answers. Possession is a matter for exorcists, not detectives. Remy, caught between worlds, begins to question her own sanity. Was she chosen or cursed? Did Teresita's will bend her to this purpose, or is her mind betraying her, weaving truth from fragments she can't recall? You're sinking deeper now, into a truth that feels like a blade against your skin. This isn't just about a murder solved. It's about a power that hums in the silence, a force that demands to be seen. Teresita's voice, speaking through Remy, is a reminder. Some truths refuse to die, no matter how deeply they're buried. You feel it, don't you? The weight of knowledge that changes everything. Comment below, twice. I seek the hidden truth. Let it anchor you to this descent. The next revelation is closer, and it's going to pull you into a darkness that reshapes the way. Chicago's winter creeps in, 1978, and the city feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to break. Allan Showery's guilty plea has closed Teresita Basa's case, but the wound it left festers, raw and unhealed. The courtroom may have passed judgment, but the truth behind Remy Chua's trances is a fire that still burns, casting shadows no one can fully grasp. Remy, once a quiet hospital worker, is now a reluctant figurehead in a story that feels too vast, too ancient for one woman to carry. Her visions of Teresita, vivid, relentless, have exposed a killer, but they have also cracked open a door to something older, something that hums with a power the world wasn't meant to see. You're deeper in the abyss now, and the air is thick with truths that cut like glass. Remy's trances haven't stopped, even with Showery behind bars. They come in waves, stealing her voice, her strength, as Teresita's presence lingers like a melody that won't fade. She speaks of the murder night in harrowing detail, the knock at the door, Showery's false smile, the cold shock of the knife. But now the visions shift, carrying fragments of Teresita's life, her love for Chopin, her dreams of teaching music, the weight of her solitude as an immigrant. Jose Chua, ever the skeptic, tries to ground these in science, reading up on dissociative states and psychic phenomena. But the more he searches, the more he finds stories that mirror Remy's. Filipino tales of spirits choosing a living voice to right a wrong, to demand justice when the world fails. The Filipino community in Chicago is a storm of belief and fear. Some see Remy as a vessel blessed or cursed by a force beyond understanding. They bring her offerings, asta candles, prayers and hoping she can speak to their own lost loved ones. Others shun her, whispering of dark forces, of spirits who don't rest once their task is done. The Catholic priests they turn to are divided. Some call it a miracle, others a dangerous breach of the natural order. Remy, caught in the middle, feels the weight of every gaze. She TM's no mystic, no shaman, just a woman whose life has been hijacked by a voice she did not TMT ask for. Each trance leaves her weaker, her eyes hollow, as if Teresita's will is draining. The police, meanwhile, try to bury the supernatural under paperwork. Detectives Stachula and Garcia file their reports, emphasizing the hard evidence, the jewelry, Showery's confession, the diary note. But off the record, they admit Remy's role unsettles them. They've chased killers before, but never with a guide like this. A voice that knew too much, saw too clearly. They dig into Remy's past, searching for a hidden connection to Teresita or Showery, but find nothing. No shared secrets, no grudges, no motive for Remy to invent such a story. The more they search, the more the truth feels like it's slipping away, a shadow that moves just out of reach. You're standing in the heart of it now, where the veil between worlds feels thin enough to tear. Teresita's voice didn't just solve a murder, it revealed a power that hums in the silence, a force that bends reality to its will. You feel the pull, don't you? The sense that some truths are too dangerous to stay buried, too potent to ignore. Comment below, twice. I seek the hidden truth. Let it bind you to this path. The next step is darker, sharper, and it's waiting to carve its mark on you. Chicago's winter of 1978 is a shroud, wrapping the city in ice and unease. Allan Showery's conviction should have brought closure, but the truth of Teresita Basa's murder pulses like a heartbeat that won't stop. Remy Chua, the woman who channeled Teresita's voice to name her killer, is a shadow of herself, her life consumed by visions that refuse to fade. The trances come unbidden, each one a descent into Teresita's final moments. The glint of the knife, the roar of the fire, the betrayal of a trusted face. But now, the visions carry something heavier, a warning, a sense that this story isn't over, that some truths are too vast to be contained by a courtroom. You're sinking deeper into the abyss, where the air crackles with secrets that burn to be known. Remy's trances are no longer just about the murder. They weave a tapestry of Teresita's life, her quiet evenings at the piano, her longing for a home she left behind in the Philippines, her unspoken fears as a woman alone in a sprawling city. The visions are so vivid, Remy wakes with tears, her body trembling as if she's lived them herself. Jose Chua, her husband, is desperate to help, but his medical training offers no answers. He pores over texts on spiritual possession, Filipino folklore, even parapsychology, searching for a way to free Remy from this grip. The stories he finds are chilling. In Filipino tradition, a spirit like Teresita's, an Anita, may linger not just for justice, but to protect others from the same fate. Is Teresita warning of something larger, something still hidden? The Filipino community in Chicago is a cauldron of awe and dread. Some call Remy a conduit, chosen to bridge the living and the dead. They leave gifts at her door, rosaries, flowers, praying she can speak to their own restless spirits. Others whisper she teams tampered with forces best left alone, that inviting a spirit team's voice risks inviting its wrath. The Catholic Church, a cornerstone for many, offers conflicting counsel. One priest speaks of divine intervention, another of demonic deception. Remy, a devout Catholic herself, is torn. She prays for peace, but the trances feel like a mission, a duty she can't escape. Each vision leaves her weaker, as if Teresita's will is burning through her to reach the world. Beyond the community, the story takes on a life of its own. Chicago's newspapers fuel the frenzy, their headlines, ghost guides police to killer, drawing curiosity and skepticism. Paranormal researchers descend, eager to study Remy, but she refuses, retreating further into isolation. The police, meanwhile, close ranks, uncomfortable with the case's supernatural stain. Detectives Stachula and Garcia deflect questions, sticking to the facts. Showery's confession, the stolen jewelry, the diary note. But privately, they wrestle with the impossible. Remy TM's knowledge, her pinpoint accuracy, defies every explanation TMV tried. Was she a witness who couldn't speak until her mind broke free, or something more? The truth feels like a current, pulling them toward a shore they can't see. You're in the depths now, where the world you know bends under the weight of what's hidden. Teresita's voice didn't just solve a crime. It cracked open a truth about power, about justice, about forces that move unseen. You feel it, don't you? The pull of knowledge that shifts how you see everything. Comment below. Twice. I seek the hidden truth. Let it lock you into this descent. The next revelation is closer, and it's going to carve a truth into your bones that you'll never. The Chicago winter of 1978 bites deeper. It's cold, a mirror to the chill that grips Remy Chua's life. Allan Showery's conviction should have been the end, a clean cut to sever Teresita Basa's murder from the living world. But the truth is a wound that won't close, bleeding questions that stain every corner of this story. Remy's trances, once a beacon to justice, now feel like a tether to something relentless, something that demands more than a killer's confession. Teresita's voice lingers in her, whispering not just of murder, but of a life stolen, a purpose unfulfilled. The city moves on, but Remy is trapped, and you're falling deeper into a darkness where truths pulse like a heartbeat, too strong to ignore. The visions are changing. They're no longer just snapshots of that February night, the knife, the fire, Showery's panicked eyes. Now, Remy sees Teresita's world in vivid fragments, her fingers dancing over piano keys, her quiet pride in her work as a healer, the ache of being a stranger in a vast city. Each trance is a theft, draining Remy's strength, leaving her pale and trembling. Chua, her husband, is haunted by his own helplessness. He's read every text he can find, folklore, psychology, theology, but none explain why Remy's mind is a bridge to a dead woman's soul. In Filipino stories, an awanita might linger to warn of danger, to guard the living from a fate like hers. Is Teresita's voice a shield or a chain? The Filipino community in Chicago is a fractured mirror, reflecting both faith and fear. Some see Remy as a saint, a vessel for divine justice, and they gather at her doorstep, clutching rosaries, begging for her to speak to their own lost. Others whisper of curses, of spirits who cling too tightly, draining the living to fuel their will. The church offers no solace. Priests debate whether this is God or TM's work or something darker, something that smells of forbidden power. Remy, once a woman of quiet faith, now questions everything. She feels Teresita's presence like a weight in her chest, a voice that commands her to keep speaking, to keep revealing. But revealing what? The murder is solved, yet the trances persist, as if justice was only the beginning. The wider world watches, caught in a fever of fascination. Paranormal researchers hound Remy, offering theories of psychic links and collective consciousness, but she turns them away, exhausted by their hunger for answers she doesn't have. The police, meanwhile, bury the case's strangeness under bureaucracy. Detectives Stahula and Garcia file their final reports, emphasizing the tangible, Showery's guilty plea, the recovered jewelry, the diary's cryptic note. But in quiet moments, they admit the truth unsettles them. Remy's knowledge, her impossible precision, hints at a world where the dead can reach back, where justice bends to a will stronger than death. They wonder, what else is out there, waiting to be heard? You're deeper than ever now, standing where the veil is so thin you can feel its pulse. Teresita, TM's voice didna. T just name a killer. It tore open a truth about power, about the unseen forces that shape our world. You sense it, don't you? The weight of a secret that rewrites everything you thought you knew. Comment below, twice. I seek the hidden truth. Let it bind you to this path, because the next step is a plunge into a darkness that will mark you forever. Stay with me. The truth is closer and it's sharper than you can imagine. Chicago's winter of 1978 is a relentless grip. its icy fingers curling around the city like a warning. Allan Showery's conviction sits heavy, a closed case that feels anything but finished. Teresita Basa, TM's murder is solved, her killer caged, but the truth behind Remy Chua, TM's trances, is a fire that burns hotter, wilder, refusing to be contained. Remy is no longer just a woman, she's a vessel, her life consumed by a voice that speaks from beyond, carrying not just justice, but a deeper, darker purpose. The trances are a tide, pulling her under, and you're sinking with her, into a truth that feels like it could unravel the world itself. Remy's visions are relentless now, each one a plunge into Teresita's soul. She sees the murder night in excruciating clarity. Showery wound TM's shadow in the doorway, the cold steel of the knife, the suffocating weight of the mattress as flames roared. But the visions stretch further, into moments no one could know. Teresita's laughter over a shared meal in the Philippines, her quiet prayers in a Chicago church, the weight of her dreams as she studied late into the night. Remy wakes gasping, her body drained, as if she's living two lives at once. Jose Chua, her husband, is a man unmoored, his scientific mind battered by the impossible. He's found no answers in books or faith, only stories of spirits who bind themselves to the living, demanding to be heard until their purpose is complete. The Filipino community in Chicago is a storm of reverence and fear. Some call Remy a bridge to the divine, a woman touched by a power that transcends death. They leave offerings at her door, candles, handwritten prayers, hoping she can carry their own messages to the dead. Others see her as a warning, a woman who opened a door that should have stayed shut. The church, their anchor, is divided. One priest speaks of miracles, another of spiritual peril, urging Remy to seek exorcism. She refuses, not out of defiance, but exhaustion. The trances aren't hers to control, they come like a tide, and Teresita's voice is the current, pulling her toward a truth she can't yet see. The world beyond is gripped by the story, its edges fraying into myth. Paranormal researchers circle like vultures, but Remy shuts them out, her silence a shield against their hunger. The police, too, retreat into silence, their reports sealed, their unease buried. Detectives Stashula and Garcia know the case is closed, but Remy's role is a splinter they can't remove. Her visions were too precise, too raw, to be coincidence or invention. They've chased killers before, but never with a guide like this, a voice that saw through walls, through time, through death itself. The question lingers. Was Teresita's will so fierce it bent reality? Or was Remy's mind a key to a truth hidden in plain sight? You're at the edge now, where the world you know crumbles into something vast, something dangerous. Teresita, TM's voice is now TM. Just a story. Itao, TM's a revelation, a crack in the facade of what TM's possible. You feel the weight, don't you? The pull of a truth that demands to be claimed, that changes you the moment you touch it. Comment below, twice. I seek the hidden truth. Let it root you to this descent. The final truth is waiting, and it's going to burn through everything. Chicago's winter of 1978 is a tomb, sealing the city in a silence that feels alive with secrets. Allan Showery's conviction should have buried Teresita Basa's murder, but the truth is a pulse that won't stop, a force that carves through time and reason. Remy Chua, the woman who named a killer through trances she didn't choose, is a shadow of herself, her life consumed by Teresita's voice, a voice that speaks not just of justice, but of a power older than the city, older than the laws that bind it. The trances have left her fragile, a vessel for a truth that demands to be known, and you're at the bottom of the abyss now, where the final revelation waits to reshape everything you are. Remy's visions are a fire that won't go out. They carry Teresita's final moments, the betrayal, the blade, the flames, but also her essence, her music, her faith, her unspoken hopes. Remy sees her standing at her piano, fingers tracing a melody that never finished, feels the weight of her solitude in a city that didn't know her. Each trance is a theft, pulling Remy's strength into a void she can't escape. Jose Chua, her husband, is broken by it, his logic shattered by a truth he can't dissect. Filipino folklore speaks of spirits who linger to protect, to warn, but Teresita's presence feels like more, like a demand to see the world's hidden machinery, the forces that move through the cracks of life and death. The Filipino community in Chicago is a crucible, forging belief and dread into something new. Some kneel before Remy, calling her a bridge to the eternal, a woman chosen to carry the dead's truth. They leave candles flickering at her doorstep, their prayers a plea for connection to their own lost. Others turn away, fearing she's stirred something dangerous, a power that doesn't forgive those who touch it. The church, their refuge, offers no clarity. One priest speaks of God's will, another of a spiritual wound that must be sealed. Remy, caught in this storm, feels like a stranger in her own skin. Teresita TM's voice is a command she caneo, TMT refuse, a truth that burns through her to reach you. The world watches, transfixed, as the story becomes legend. Paranormal scholars beg for Remy's story, but she's silent, her strength spent. The police, Detectives Stachula and Garcia, seal the case with cold efficiency, but the truth haunts them. Remy's visions were a map to a killer, drawn by a hand they can't explain. Teresita Tma's murder is more than a crime solved. It Tma's a tear in reality, a glimpse of a power that moves unseen, bending the living to its will. You stand here now, at the edge of that tear, where the world you knew falls away. This isn't just a story, it's a key to the hidden, a truth that says the dead can speak, that justice can reach through the grave, that some forces refuse to be silenced. You've descended to the heart of it, where the truth is a blade that cuts deep. Teresita TM's voice, Remya TM's sacrifice, Showery TM's fall, they TM are pieces of a larger mosaic, a revelation of power that hums in the shadows of every life. You feel it now, don't you? The weight of a secret that changes you forever. Comment below, twice. How I seek the hidden truth. Let it bind you to this knowledge, because you, team, are not the same man you were when you started. This truth is yours now, and it's going to burn in you, a light in the dark that you'll carry forever.